Hi, I'm Greg Coleman, President of Florida Bar. Welcome to the final installment of the Florida Bar's Social Media and Technology series. This is the third webinar in our three-part series designed to bring lawyers up to speed with technology that will assist them in their practices. Now that you've learned the basics of using Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, and how to properly use those social media tools in compliance with the rules regulating the Florida Bar, we're now taking it to the next level. Today, attorney Christopher Hopkins of Ackerman Centerfit is going to show you dozens of apps available to assist you in your practice at deposition, mediation, trial, and even while traveling. There is a ton of content here. Even some of you techies may learn a trick or two. We hope that you've enjoyed this technology series and are inspired to find new ways to incorporate technology into your practice.
Hi, I'm Christopher Hopkins, a shareholder with Ackerman LLP in West Palm Beach, Florida. This is the third installment in the Florida Bar Technology webinar series. The topic of this webinar is apps for Florida lawyers, where we will explore more than 50 iPhone and iPad apps specifically chosen for Florida lawyers like you. I have a general civil trial and appellate practice, and I've developed an interest in emerging technologies such as app development, e-discovery, Bitcoin privacy, and even drones. But you do not need to be a tech guru for this webinar. Regardless of your area of practice, today we're talking about apps which will improve your professional life and perhaps provide a little fun. We're going to cover more than 50 apps for your smartphone. We've broken them down into 7 categories. In section 1, I'll show you how to use your device during a deposition while you're questioning a witness. In section 2, we'll examine how to use your iPad to have clients and parties sign documents right on the iPad. In section 3, I'll show you some apps which you can start using in mediation and then use in special set hearings and ultimately in trial. In the other sections, we'll cover travel, Florida-specific apps, news and information, and we'll close with 6 apps you've likely never seen before. Before we begin, 2 quick issues. First of all, why Apple iOS? In February 2015, the Florida Bar released a study showing that 64% of Florida lawyers who have a smartphone are using an iPhone. 42% of lawyers with tablets are using an iPad. And since that's what you'll be using, that's what we'll be talking about today. Second topic before we begin is that we are not going to be talking about obvious apps. I'm not going to discuss Dropbox, LinkedIn, or Chrome. These are great apps which I'm sure you've discovered on your own. But the point of this webinar is to introduce you to new apps that you may not have seen. I think that you'll find that we will live up to that challenge. So let's start with the first section, apps during depositions. When you think of lawyers using iPhones during depositions, you probably think of lawyers half listening to the questions and answers and half playing on their iPhone. That's not you. This section will show how a lawyer can ask questions and use an iPad with the witness to get great testimony and ready-made exhibits. We'll start with Google Maps and Skitch. These are 2 free and intentionally simple apps. Familiarize yourself with them before taking a deposition. Maps, of course, can give you an overhead map view, but it also gives you a first-person street view. You'll see why that's important in a second. Skitch is an annotation program. It sounds complicated, but annotation simply means it's a drawing program. You can open a photo and you can annotate or draw on it. It's very simple, which makes it perfect for use during a deposition, even if the witness is resistant or even hostile. Let's take a typical car accident case as an example, but this works for any case. A picture is worth 1,000 words. Figure out in your practice how pictures, maps, or other images will help convey a message, then use it in your depositions. Here we've used Google Maps to pull up the location of an accident. Hit the home button and the top or the side button of your device to take a screenshot. That image is now in the iPad's camera roll. Still in Google Maps, we can get a street view, meaning a first-person perspective of the area. Show this to your witness and obtain testimony that this is a reasonable depiction of the area at the time of the accident. In Street View, you can get a 360-degree perspective. Move to the location where, say, a driver was sitting, and using the screen, have them look both to the left and the right as if they were looking at oncoming traffic as they approached the stop sign. Assuming that this is relevant to your case, again, take screenshots of both the left and the right side. You now have images of what they saw from where they were just prior to the accident. Go ahead and close Maps and open up Skitch. Tap on the right side and a palette of options opens up. Practice with this a little bit before the deposition. You can draw arrows to point or lines to make circles, whatever you want. Here we've drawn an arrow to show where the person claims that they stopped. In your deposition, have them testify to where they were and place a corresponding digital image with an arrow. But what do you do with that? It's only on your device. Tap the icon in the upper right corner. You can email the picture with the annotation to the court reporter and other counsel as you're sitting there at the deposition, giving it a caption like Exhibit A. The court reporter can attach the documents to the transcript later, and in all fairness to the other lawyers, they can review it on their computer or device during the deposition. If they don't have a device, take a break and send the email to someone at the deposition location, and they can print it out so the deposition can proceed. This also works with documents. You can take a screenshot of a document and then have a witness circle and confirm their signature. In a really dense page of text, you can highlight the section you are using during questioning and attach that as an exhibit as you go along so that your testimony and the sections of the document are very clear when you read the transcript later. This will give very little room for a witness later at trial to try and change their testimony. For more information on how to use your device during depositions, you can find my January 2014 article I wrote for the Palm Beach Bar called Using an iPad in Depositions. Google it or visit the Palm Beach Bar website or my site, internetlawcommentary.com. Using apps to sign documents. We talk about paperless offices, but then we lug around paper copies to sign up new clients, get signed releases, or to sign a deal. All of this can be done digitally. Let me show you how with just two apps. The first app is called Shake. This app is more for consumers, but it has a remarkable ability to help you set up simple agreements on the fly. It has an array of pre-made contracts, but it also, through a series of questions, will prompt you to create terms for, say, price, performance, breach, term, and dispute resolution. With a stylus or even your finger, the parties can sign just like we sign credit card machines at retail stores. Let's move on to Adobe Reader. Perhaps more useful is Adobe Reader, especially if you already have the documents to sign in a PDF. You certainly have Reader on your laptop or your desktop, but the iPhone app is surprisingly more powerful, and it's still free. First, let's get a document into Reader. When someone sends you a PDF via email, press it with your finger until the option appears. Tap Open in Adobe Reader. If it's the first time you've used Reader, run through the 5 or 6 slide tutorial and teach it your signature. This will take about 20 seconds. Now, inside of the document, go to the page with the signature block. Press your stylus or your finger where the signature should go. This black line appears. You can then type text or insert other items, but we're looking for a signature. Hit Signature. It will either insert your signature, which you've already entered, or let the party sign right there on the spot. Don't worry if your signature is too big or too small or if it goes too far. You can erase and start again. Better still, you can resize it without losing the appearance of your signature. You can even insert the date, handwritten or typed, by repeating these same steps above. In fact, you can have someone insert page marks, minor edits, and do other changes throughout the documents, not just on the signature line. Once you're done, hit the icon at the top of the page and send the signed document via email. Want to learn more about signing documents? Check out my article, PDF Documents Are Modifiable, Learn to Sign in 10 Minutes. This was published by the Palm Beach Bar in October 2012. You can Google it, visit the Palm Beach Bar, or download it free at internetlawcommentary.com. Let's move to apps in your office. A couple of quick apps. Future Date Calculator. What's 20 days from the date a defendant was served? When does the 75-day period for medical negligence pre-suit end? When is the reply brief due if the answer came in yesterday? While you need to know the rules for whatever court you are in, you also need a handy way to count out the days. Rather than pulling out a calendar or using the one in Outlook to count the days, try this app for a more reliable calculation. First, put in your reference date, meaning the date that you want to start counting from. This is easy since the app uses a wheel for you to pick the month, the day, and the year. Then you select the number of days, weeks, months, or even years out you want to count. Hit the Calculate Future Date and you are done. Give that future date a name like Discovery Due in the Smith case, and the app will put that date on your calendar for you. In short, instead of counting days and then opening Outlook or Google Calendar to diary the due date, this app will take care of both steps with just a few taps. Pacer apps. Many of you likely use Pacer, the federal court docket service, which allows lawyers and members of the public to access pleadings filed in various federal courts. While it is a fast way to get PDF documents of pleadings filed across the country, it is an arduous and outdated system. As a little-known fact, Pacer dates back to 1988. If you've spent any time on the system, the interface looks like it came from the MS-DOS era. Fortunately, you can bring Pacer up to date by using apps which speed you through the process. Both Federal Court Records and Pacer Monitor function quite well. Federal Court Records costs about $10, however its interface is a little outdated, but that's just cosmetic. It does occasionally return errors, but with a tap of the OK button, you can move past any minor problems. It will save your username, password, and favorite cases, so you can check the docket of a case in just a couple of taps. Pacer Monitor is free, however it requires you to register an account with the app company or sign in via LinkedIn. The interface on Pacer Monitor is a bit cleaner than the first app, but that too is mostly cosmetic. Pacer Monitor will save your username and password for quick access to Pacer and will also save the cases you're following. In both apps, you download the PDF pleadings, which you can then email or open in annotation software like Adobe Reader or FedCtRecords, which we will discuss in an upcoming section. Apps to work smarter. FedCtRecords is the #1 app to move towards being paperless. That said, you can still keep paper copies, but walk around with your key documents in PDF form right on your iPad. The purpose of FedCtRecords is to keep PDF documents on your device. You can then highlight, scribble, or otherwise annotate them as much as you want. This is excellent when you are traveling and someone sends you a document to edit. You can make revisions right on the PDF and send right back. No more faxing from hotels or someone else's office. First, let's get the PDF onto your device. If you get a document via email, press and hold the attachment. Select Open in FedCtRecords. FedCtRecords will place the new document in an area called Documents. You can keep this organized by adding folders like case names. Drag and drop the documents wherever you want them to go, or use simple commands that are on the left side of the screen. Tap the document you want to read and you can scroll through the PDF with your finger. That pen icon at the top allows you to highlight or underline. You can enlarge pages to see better. Using that book icon on the top right, you can bookmark pages. I've scanned hundreds of pages of medical records, highlighting and bookmarking as I go along, and then I know exactly the key pages I need. I can then email them using the icon at the top right, and we can print the entire set or just the critical pages which I've bookmarked. You've just saved time, saved paper, and are highly organized. If you do that with all of your cases, you can carry around your entire case with you at all times. Keep important cases or rules of civil procedure or statutes. It's your law office on your iPad. When you see someone using an iPad with a stylus, you'll know this someone knows how to use their device and is highly organized. Make that person be you. On the road, you may come across documents which you'd like to PDF, but you don't have a scanner. Say an exhibit at a deposition. Use an app called Scannable. It will take a picture of the document, but instead of putting it on your camera roll, it will become a PDF which you can email or annotate in Adobe Reader or PDF Expert or even Skitch. If you're in a deposition and someone introduces an exhibit which you've never seen before, take a second to scan and email to your client or back to the office. You will get instant information, so when it's your turn to ask questions, you know exactly what to ask. Then use Skitch or Reader to have the witness annotate the points you want to make. Suddenly, a surprise document has now been turned into an annotated document which serves your case. Voice Record Pro. If you interview witnesses or just need to record a conversation, this app is far more robust than the built-in app Voice Memos. You certainly do not want to rely on mini cassette tapes or a handheld tape recorder as a second device. Voice Record Pro is free, but it has some advertising. If you use it frequently, you can upgrade to remove the ads. You can record, pause, stop, and edit right from the screen using buttons which look like the ones on a tape or DVD player. The app will show you volume levels and you can change the quality of the recording. You can even edit the sound file directly from the app and then send it via text, email, or save it to Google Drive, Dropbox, or other services. You can even upload directly to sites like YouTube, SoundCloud, and Facebook. Be mindful, of course, all parties to a conversation in Florida must give consent before you record. Google Translate. You're probably familiar with this app where you can type in English and, for example, it will give you the same sentence translated into Spanish. But there are two features to Google Translate that you may have overlooked. The first has to do with the camera. Inside the app, tap the camera icon, which is located in the middle of your screen on the left side, just under the area where you would type to translate. Simply point the camera at the text in a foreign language. This works best on street signs, billboards, or anything with a small amount of text, ideally in a large font. Google Translate will then translate the words it identifies on the screen into English. As you can see on this slide, I pointed the camera at a sign in Spanish. It replaced the Spanish words on the sign for English, turn to the left. It is not perfect, but it works reasonably well and it is quicker than typing. I've tried it with books and newspapers, and it does not work quite as well since there's a lot of text in a small area. But again, if you want a quick clue as to what something says, this is a handy high-tech tool. The second feature is Voice Translator. Why type when you can just speak into the phone? Let's say I want to talk with someone, but they only speak Japanese. I can set Google Translate to convert between English and Japanese. I then tap the microphone icon in the middle of the screen. I then speak into the device and hit done. I can then hand the device to the other person and it will translate what I said into Japanese right on the screen. That person can then hit the microphone button, speak in Japanese, and then I can see their response translated in English. While a little slow, you can literally have a conversation with someone without knowing a second language. As you are likely aware, the photos we exchange have metadata, which is small amounts of data which can include the date and time the photo was taken, what device, the device setting, and even the GPS location of the photo if that feature was turned on when the person took the photo. This can be useful to identify who took the picture, when it was taken, and even where it was taken. DGeo is an app designed to remove GPS data from your photos in order to preserve your privacy. For example, while you may want to share online photos of your family at home, you may not want someone to be able to figure out where you lived based upon the GPS data in the metadata. DGeo helps remove that metadata from your photos quickly. We'll talk about how you can prevent the GPS data from being inserted into your photos in just a moment. Next up is XF Wizard. The purpose of this app is to read metadata. Simply open a photo inside the app and it will show you all of the metadata present in the picture. Like DGeo, it also has a delete function. I prefer Photo Investigator simply because it is a bit faster. When you open your camera roll and see small icons of the photos on your camera, it will put a small clock in the left corner if it can read the date and time metadata in that photo. Likewise, it will put a small globe in the right corner if the photo has GPS data. This way you can quickly scan the photos in your device to see which ones have that critical metadata. You can edit and delete directly from the app. All three apps work with photos you take as well as the ones you receive via email or download from the internet. Be aware there's an ethics opinion regarding metadata, Ethics Opinion 06-2. Congrats, by the way, to the Florida Bar for addressing metadata issues nearly 10 years ago. Briefly, the opinion states that a lawyer who is sending an electronic document, which includes photos, should take care to ensure the confidentiality of all information contained in the document, including metadata. A lawyer receiving an electronic document should not try to obtain information from metadata that the lawyer knows or should know is not intended for the receiving lawyer. Of note, this does not apply to documents or photos produced in discovery. But if you are unfamiliar with this opinion, Google it and read the opinion in its entirety. One final tip before we leave metadata apps. You can prevent the iPhone from embedding your GPS location in the photos you take. Again, if you take personal and family photos, which may get shared online, you may want to consider disabling the GPS location. In Settings, go to Privacy and then Location Services. Scroll down to Camera and select it. It will give you the option Location Access, either never or when using the app. If you select never, it will not put GPS metadata in your photos. Since you likely know where you took your photos, I recommend, for your privacy, that you switch this to never. PhotoMath. This is a very simple app, and it probably is designed for lawyers who don't want to go through the difficulty of working out a math problem. With this app and using the camera, you point the camera at the math problem and it will work out the problem on the screen for you. Presentation apps for mediation and trial. Let's first start with mediation. The first app is Picture It Settled. This is an app that you use in mediation and you enter in the plaintiff and the defendant. Then during the course of mediation, as there are offers and counteroffers, you put those numbers into the app. It will record the time of each offer or counteroffer. As the day goes on, it will provide to you a graph suggesting not only how much settlement will be, but what time that settlement will take place. Now obviously there's not much science behind this app, but if you'd used it 3 or 4 times, you might find some interesting information about your own mediation style, just like you were videotaping your golf swing. Do you start off slowly and then get to a conclusion at the end in the last 5 minutes? Or do you rush things in the beginning and then there's a delay towards the end before you finally settle? These graphs may help you answer that question. Timeline 3D is an interesting app where you can take images, documents, and your own text, insert it into the app, and it will place it onto a 3-dimensional timeline. Here you can see that there are photos along a timeline that you can pull up one by one that also has text, and then you can click on the picture to enlarge them and then return back to the timeline. As far as a way of telling a story from the beginning of one point to the end of another, Timeline 3D helps you effectively tell that story. One of the more powerful apps for your iPad is Exhibit A. I would recommend that you start using this in mediation and then try it in trial. Like the annotation apps that we've talked about before, you can load in PDFs, pictures, documents, and then go ahead and annotate them on screen. But the difference with Exhibit A is that you can annotate them on your screen and then project them onto a projector for everyone else to see. In other words, you can prepare the document first and then let everyone else see it second. You can do the same thing with photographs. You can sit and ask a witness questions and annotate on the screen so the jury can see the annotations while the discussion is taking place. Other similar presentation apps are Adobe Voice and Microsoft Sway. The difference with these is that you have to pre-record everything. Adobe Voice. Adobe Voice was selected by Apple as one of the best apps of 2014. You can pre-record a presentation, which you narrate, and then save it as a small movie file. You can use your own photos, record a short video, or pick from over 25,000 images right inside the app. The concept is simple. First, create a title page. Then tell your story in the subsequent pages. insert a photo and caption, and then hit the record button so you narrate that particular page. You can check the recording and re-record as necessary. Once the page looks and sounds like you want it to, go to the next page. Finish with a closing page, and you can watch and edit your final product. In the end, you can save the video to your camera roll and upload or email it. Adobe Voice is a great tool to show a day in the life, a quick vignette, or to narrate a series of photos. For example, I used Adobe Voice for a case where I inspected an area where an accident occurred. Just sending the photos of the area to the client alone would not really tell the story. Instead, I inserted the photos into Adobe Voice and then narrated what the photos depicted and why the scene was important. As a mediator, I've also used Adobe Voice to create a short video to play at the beginning of mediation to explain the mediation process to the parties. It is more entertaining than the usual introduction and, not surprisingly, people tend to pay attention to short videos on an iPad. Microsoft Sway is another presentation app which allows you to pull text, photos, and stock images together quickly for a presentation. The editing is simple, the transition between screens is great, and the icons and fonts look fantastic. The downside is that Sway is web-based. While you can make it private, you have to have an internet connection to view the presentation, and it's hosted by Microsoft. This may present privacy concerns depending on the material you discuss. Using apps for travel. The first app is My Radar Weather Radar. My Radar Weather. Florida weather can change in 5 minutes. This app will give you the radar information, just like they show during the television news, so you can see when the rain is going to start or stop. It overlays the radar image of the storm over the map so you can focus in to literally see whether it's raining blocks away. It shows the intensity of the storm and how fast it's been moving over the last 15 minutes. It even gives you the forecast along the top of the screen. Finally, with upgrades, you can remove ads, track hurricanes, and get more detailed weather data. Flight Aware. There are any number of travel apps, but Flight Aware, which seems to be directed at pilots and frequent travelers, is my favorite. The app will give you detailed information on your flights, including prior legs, current status, and gate information. If you're the traveler, you can configure the app to give you relevant notifications like gate changes and delays. If you're following a flight to pick someone up, it can notify you when the flight took off, if there's a delay, and when it landed. If you're in an airport, I've found that FlightAware has information about my flight faster than the airline employees at the gate. Hotel Tonight. Like apps for monitoring flights, there are a million hotel apps. Hotel Tonight stands out since it focuses on one primary goal, getting you a hotel today at the cheapest rate. If you have last-minute travel or get stranded due to a flight cancellation, this app will show you deeply discounted hotels for tonight only. The rates tend to be much lower than traditional hotel apps, but again, it is only for tonight. If you travel frequently, give this app a try. VPN. As lawyers, we have a duty to keep our communications and information confidential. That said, like everyone else, we're on the move and often use public Wi-Fi at airports, restaurants, offices, and hotels. Connecting to these Wi-Fi systems can expose your data to hackers and third parties. You can reduce the risk by using VPN apps like CyberGhost or Cloak. In fact, you can set these up on your iPhone, iPad, and even laptops. VPN stands for Virtual Private Network, and it creates a private network inside of the public Wi-Fi network. You really don't need to know the technology, just that VPN is a little slower, but it increases your security. CyberGhost will allow you to surf anonymously as well as protect your data. You need to get a subscription or a prepaid package to use this app. Cloak also charges by the week, month, or year. Bands in town. If you travel a lot or simply want to see what music is playing locally, this app describes itself as a concert discovery app. Allow the app access to your music library and it will tell you when your favorite bands are playing locally. It can even suggest local acts based upon your musical taste. It also helps you find music venues nearby that you may not have known about. You can even get notifications about artists and purchase tickets from inside the app. Using apps in Florida, the Florida Bar app. Of course, we have to mention the Florida Bar app. Inside the app, you can read the Florida Bar news, research a bar member's contact information, check and post your CLE information, and check the bar calendar. I like the ability to post your CLE right at the end of a CLE when they hand out the CLE information. This way, you do not have to remember to type it in when you get back to the office. It is also a fast way to find a lawyer's photo, phone number, email, and even where they went to school. This app does not access the bar journal, but then again, it's online through the bar website. The Florida Bar app is very handy. Give them some credit by going on iTunes and leaving a 5-star review. Florida 511. If you drive a lot, Florida 511 can provide detailed information that you will not find on Google or Apple Maps. The app provides up-to-date traffic information on Florida interstates and major roads, including text and audio updates. It can even give you Florida Department of Transportation camera views if there's congestion or an accident. Using GPS, it will tell you about traffic issues in your area or at a specified location. Restaurant Inspections Florida. This app will show you the restaurants nearby and their inspection information. Note before you walk in whether this restaurant has passed its recent inspection or had problems. You can even set alerts to learn when your favorite restaurants have been inspected. This is not only good for eating out, it is also helpful if your case involves a restaurant or you represent the owner. Finally, beers and ears. Let's end this section on a lighter note. If you like craft beer and you find yourself at Walt Disney World outside of Orlando, this app will help you find a cold beer inside the parks. Using your GPS location, the app will tell you where to find the nearest restaurant or stand which sells beer. It will even tell you what's on tap at that location. Alternatively, you can peruse the list of over 150 beers served at the parks and find the closest place that serves your favorite beer. Using apps for news and information. Smart News and Yahoo News. Reading news on your iPhone can be a great experience or an overwhelming list of headlines. Here are 2 apps to give you as much news as you want, but tailored to your interest. First, Smart News. This app allows you to create tabs of the news which interests you, things like international, US, business, sports, and entertainment. You can also create tabs for major newspapers, like the Washington Post, or certain interests, like technology. Second, Yahoo News. Sometimes you just want the basics. Yahoo News gives you the 8 biggest stories of the day. That's it. If you want more, you can pull down and get another 8 or 9 stories. This app is designed for the person who just needs a quick fix of the news. You can even set it up to give you notifications when the news is updated. CamFind. This app will allow you to search for information just by taking a picture of an object. They call it a visual search engine, which can identify and provide information about an object just by taking a picture. It also works as a QR and barcode scanner, so you do not need a separate app for that. One particular use for the app is to take a picture of an item for sale and it will run a price check. It can also lead you to Wikipedia and other sites. It is not always perfect, but if you use it a few times, you can get an idea how it works. StockTouch. If you follow the stock market, this app may be for you. Instead of the standard app, which simply provides a list of your favorite stocks, this app gives you a visual of the entire market broken into the major sectors. You can then enlarge the sectors to see how the larger stocks are trending. Teach the app the stocks you are following. You can then tap the stock and get the up-to-the-minute news and data. This is a much more impressive and visual way to monitor the market. Pocket. If you read a lot of news or information on the web, sometimes you don't have time to read something in depth and you want to save it for later. The app, Pocket, allows you to essentially put that item in your pocket for later. Install the app, create an account, and as you read news stories, you can tap to save. In Chrome, for example, hit the 3 dots in the upper right corner and select Save. You can then save the web page in Pocket. This works in most other news apps, including the ones we've mentioned above. Mustbin. Mustbin is a privacy app which serves two functions. First, you can use it as a messaging app to communicate privately. Any photos or messages you send via Mustbin do not go into your camera roll. Second, Mustbin allows you to securely keep photos on your device. You can take pictures of your passport, driver's license, and credit cards to make a virtual copy of your wallet, which is securely encrypted on your phone. That way, if you lose your wallet or those documents, you have front and back copies with the ID information and, for credit cards, the contact numbers to report a lost or stolen card. Lagniappe. Finally, we get to our final 6 apps. If you are unfamiliar with the word lagniappe, it is a French Creole word from New Orleans, which means a little something extra. Here, your lagniappe is 6 apps which you've likely not heard of. In the event you have seen all of these apps, send me an email and let me know. Maybe let me in on your favorite lesser-known apps. Tunity. Tunity is a surprisingly cool app which will amaze you and anyone around you. It allows you to hear the audio of a muted TV like a wireless headset. This is great if you want to watch TV and not have the sound bother those around you. But it is particularly useful in a loud bar or if you are somewhere like the gym or the airport where the TV is on but the sound is off or too loud to hear. Here's how Tunity works. Start the app and then point the camera at the TV screen. It will scan the screen and then play the audio from that channel. It does not work with recorded shows and may not work with some local programming. However, it is great for news and sports, especially if you're somewhere where there's a lot of noise. WeMe. This app is actually designed as a toy, but it has some use for professionals who use social media but may not want their real picture posted everywhere. Or if you just want to mix it up a little, use WeMe to create an avatar of you. Then save the picture to your camera roll. Now, if you upload a photo for an online account, you can use something a little more lighthearted than your business profile shot. Figure One. This app may not be for those with weak stomachs. Figure One declares itself to be the Instagram for doctors. In the app, doctors upload photos of strange medical conditions and particularly unusual injuries and seek comment or input from other doctors. Essentially, it's one part crowdsourcing a diagnosis and another part voyeurism. The app blurs out faces and makes the person uploading the image acknowledge that all HIPAA requirements have been met. Yik Yak. Yik Yak is another social media app. Its twist is that it's location-based and anonymous, so you get short yaks from people in your area. Alternatively, you can pinpoint other location and get the yaks in that area. It presents some interesting features. However, if there's breaking news, you can pinpoint that area and see what people are posting. Yik Yak has been in the news recently because of reports of controversial posts at different colleges throughout the country. Check out your alma mater or just get a sense of what may be the next Twitter or Instagram by checking out Yik Yak. Fiverr. Fiverr is an app and marketplace where people will provide small services for $5. For example, you can get someone to draw a picture, do a voiceover, review your resume, create something on the computer, or even fix your computer problems for $5. The community is driven by feedback, and the quality of the work is often surprisingly good. There are even lawyers promoting themselves and providing services for $5 on the site. Finally, instant heart rate by Azumio. Practicing law can be stressful. This app will provide your pulse by simply having you place your finger over the camera lens of the phone. The app senses the blood flow in your finger. It can log your heart rate so you can track your vital signs based upon activity or time of day. I tested this app out while using the automatic heart rate machine in the local pharmacy, and both machines were within a point of each other. So Azumio's app appears to be fairly accurate. Don't let the practice of law raise your heart rate too much. If it does, you can always test it with instant heart rate. We've come to the end of our webinar. Thank you for your time. You're welcome to send me an email at the email address above or connect with me on Twitter or LinkedIn. Thanks again. I hope you found this helpful, and we appreciate your time.